else is out this week?
Cars 2. Lightning McQueen returns to the town of Radiator Springs for some much-needed R&R, only to, he's reunited with Tomato.
Bringing us up to speed on the plot from Cars 1 now.
No, this is the plot of Cars 2.
Oh, I see. I thought you were sort of saying this is where it was left.
No, okay. Right. It goes back. He's been out doing stuff. He comes back to to be reunited with Tomato, the truck played, with that comic voice, and immediately he's challenged to a new race by this Italian whiz Francesco, who everybody adores. He immediately says, "Okay, I must go off and do this new race." Here's a clip.
Lightning McQueen! Buonasera!
Nice to meet you, Francesco.
Yeah, nice to meet you, too. You are very good looking. Not as good as I thought, but you're good.
Excuse me, can I get a picture with you?
Anything for McQueen's friend.
Miss Sally is gonna flip when she sees this. She's Lightning McQueen's girlfriend. Ooh. She's a big fan of yours.
Hey, she has a good taste.
Well, Mater's prone to exaggeration. I wouldn't say she's a big fan.
You're right. She's a huge fan. She goes on and on about your open wheels here.
Well, mentioning it once doesn't qualify as going on and on.
Francesco is familiar with this reaction to Francesco. The women respect a car that has nothing to hide.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's Larry the Cable Guy and Owen Wilson doing the voices of Lightning McQueen and Tomato. Here's the main thing with Cars 2. Toy Story, right? The story is your toys are alive and they'll miss you when you're not there, okay? Your toys are real.
Yeah.
Monsters, Inc. There are monsters under your bed, but you know what? They're friendly monsters. The Incredibles, superheroes, they're people too. Cars, and so are they. Cars 2, here's the plot synopsis, or at least as best I can do the plot synopsis. They're going to run this race on a new fossil fuel which has been designed by a character played by Eddie Izzard. Michael Caine is a secret agent who does some stuff on a Waterworld-like thing, which is an oil refinery in the middle of the sea. And he's got a sidekick called Miss Shiftwell, whose name, when repeated often in the cinema, caused many raised eyebrows around me. And together they've got to do some secret agent-y stuff. And they mistake Tomato, who has gone out with Lightning McQueen to do the race, which he didn't want to do, against Francesca. They mistake him for a secret agent that they have to make contact with. And they think that he's not stupid. He's actually brilliant, but he's pretending to be stupid. And meanwhile, there's something funny about the eco-fuel, which isn't oil, because under certain circumstances it explodes, which means it's dangerous, but maybe it isn't. And then they all end up in the Tower of London, and you're going, hang on, what? No! The whole point about Pixar movies in the past has been that all the stuff about the animation and the design comes secondary to the story and the characters. And the characters are what drive the story. Character is plot. Right? That's how it works. And you look at all those classic Pixars, and, I have a massive amount of respect for John Lasseter, because, I remember seeing Toy Story and just thinking, blimey, it's beautiful and wonderful, and we've talked so much about Toy Story 1, 2 and 3 and how it all pans out. Cars is the moment at which, the balance is tipped, the shark is jumped, the whatever, and you're going, okay, in the first Cars movie, I kind of let you get away with this because what you did from a design point of view was interesting. The whole idea of this landscape in which there aren't any people in it, the cars are the people, and you've designed the landscape so that little bit of that rocky crevice over there looks like the tail fin of a 1962 Lincoln, and that bit over there looks like the grill off an old Ford, and that's quite clever, right? In this first, and on the basis of that, I'll kind of let you get away with the fact that you haven't really come up with great characters like you have in the past. With this, firstly, the story centres on Tomato, Larry the Cable Guy, who was always the most annoying character. Secondly, there isn't a story. There are at least 3 stories, and they descend into the worst kind of character cliche. Michael Caine, he's British. We go to England.
Don't you think Michael Caine, you should never hire, really, for a voiceover? Because he is just Michael Caine.
Yes, but in this context, they've got Michael Caine. He's going to do Michael Caine, okay? They go to the Tower of London. Jason Isaacs does a couple of voices in this. And here's the big problem with Cars 2. Even the presence of Jason Isaacs doing his 5 or 6 lines, as he described it, wasn't enough to stop me thinking, come on, no. I would rarely say this about a Pixar movie because, whatever else may be, I was bored. I was genuinely bored.
What sort of car is Jason?
He's two different cars. He is the voice of Sidley and Leyland Turbo, but I can't, to be honest with you, I can't tell you.
Were you bored by that point?
I was bored. I was and not only was I bored, I was actually confused, thinking, which plot are you doing? Are you doing the secret agent plot? Are you doing the alternative fuels plot? Are you doing the race plot? Are you doing the thing about which one are you doing? Just give me something to hang on to. And in the middle of all of this going on, there was this crushing sense of, now guys, really, you've made this for yourself and not for us. And I would never say that lightly about Pixar. But for the first time, and there's this quote from John Lasseter, who I really admire, on the front of the production. As we said, I grew up loving cars and the Southern California car culture. My dad was a parts manager at a Chevrolet dealership, so cars was very personal to me. You know what? That's great. It isn't very personal to the rest of us. And for the first time, I got the sense with a Pixar movie that they'd made it for them and not for us. Now, that is not to say that if you take your kids along to see it, there won't be things in it that they will enjoy. Because it's Pixar, right? It's Pixar. There's a level of, quality control below which they will not go. But they've hit that level